Moi guys! Today a comparison video between expensive and cheap gouache. So without further ado, let's get started. We are going to compare the Mont Marte brand and the Holbein brand. Mont Marte brand is very cheap and you can find it very easily here in Finland, and I paid 9.99 euros for a set of 18 colors, while Holbein is very expensive, one of the most expensive brand in gouache, and I found it in Japan because on Amazon is even more expensive. I started to choose the color to realize my piece of art today, and I refer to my swatches card that I did previously. And I select 9 colors. In particular, I select titanium white, lemon yellow, medium yellow, pale green, cerulean blue, crimson, burnt sienna, burnt amber, and lamp black. With the Holbein, I try to select same color or similar color. There are some differences, for example in the orangey color and the green one, but with a little bit of mixing, actually I can obtain quite similar color. So I will start with the left side of my illustration, and in particular I will start with cheap gouache, so the Mont Marte gouache. So now I started to paint macaroon today. I create the base color with the medium yellow mixed with the burnt sienna, and I obtain this kind of ochre. And I start to put all the base color in my drawing. The first thing that I immediately notice is that the brush strokes are very visible when I use the cheap gouache alternative. In fact, I saw that it is very difficult, especially with this first mixture of color, to obtain a smooth result. And I also see that the color alone is not very opaque. And also the layering is not so easy. Not all the colors are transparent. There are some colors that are more opaque among the cheap choice, but some of the colors, like for example lemon yellow, titanium white, the crimson, are quite transparent. Another thing that I notice is that the colors are quite vibrant, but at the same time, especially when I start to layer in them, I notice that they give this kind of stiff result, so not very smooth kind of result. It's like a gesso kind of color. I also noticed that some colors are very dry and they need a lot of water to work smoothly, but the problem is that when you start to adding a lot of water, the color become more transparent, and as I said before, some of the colors are already quite transparent. One of the most transparent color is for sure pale green, and I start to put it down and I mixed with a little bit of lemon yellow, but actually I don't really like the result. Then I proceed with some shadows and a lot of details with the burnt umber. Burnt umber is quite a dry color, but that is quite normal because it's on dry side also in professional kind of gouache. Then when I start to build up a little bit of details with white, I noticed that white was so transparent. So it was quite hard to make it work and show up on top of the other colors. Then I proceed with the black, but also the black without water is not so dark, it's not pitch black, it's more grayish. Now we are going to do the right side, the expensive one, so I use the same mixture of color also here for the upper macaroon. And immediately you can notice that the color is smoother. I don't see any brush stroke when I use the color, and I don't have to dilute the color a lot with water. So that was for sure a strong point about these professional colors. Although I noticed that Holbein colors are on the dry side as gouache, they are very smooth and creamy, but actually they dry pretty fast, so you have to keep putting water on them to work with them, and they dry also faster than the cheap alternative here. I have to say that layer this color were easier than the cheap alternative, and also blend them out together was quite easier. Another big difference is the vibrancy of the colors, because the colors are more vivid and more vibrant, already with just one layer. Here I'm adding a lot of shadows, and also here I use burnt umber to do that. Burnt umber is quite dry also on the Holbein selection. And you can notice it here when I'm trying to blend the burnt umber together to create the shadows under the orange macaroon. Then working with the cerulean blue in Holbein selection is very easy. It's very smooth as a color and very opaque. So it is perfect to create layers of colors. And also when I mix it with the burnt umber to create the shadow under the pinky macaroon, I didn't have any particular problem. Another thing that I didn't say about this color is that if you are an artist that sell their works, you might be interested in light fastness, and about Holbein you can find a lot of information about light fastness online. Many colors in the selection have a high light fastness, so they don't have any change if they are exposed to the light. While on the other side, the cheap alternative, the Mont Marte gouache, they have light fastness stars on the packaging, but actually I didn't find any information about the light fastness of this color. And for this reason I'm also planning to do the light fastness test myself with this gouache, but I have to wait summer to doing that because now it's too dark. As you can see here, white details here are very visible. The white is very opaque and I don't have any problem to layer it down. And also when it dries, it remains white, while I noticed that in the other colors, some colors show up when you layer them, but actually after they dry, they kind of disappear. So I'm adding all the final details with white and light color, or the highlights. On the both sides, I have to say that I enjoy using the colors in general, and I quite also like the final result on both sides. My favorite side is the Holbein one because it makes my life easier actually work with them. But I think that you can obtain very satisfying results also with the cheap gouache. And here the final result. So which side do you prefer? Of course there might be some differences also because maybe my hand was different, especially when I started. I have to kind of understand how to do texture in my illustration, and then it was easier for the second part of the illustration to proceed. So I really hope you enjoyed the video. If so, please give us a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to don't miss any other content. See you next time. Moi moi!